Hey, how's it going, everyone? I'm Albert. I'm one of the co-founders for Elite Agents, and I'm here to talk to you about MCPs. So before we start, how many people know about MCPs? A little show of hands. All right, so half of you. Pretty cool, because MCP stands for Model Context Protocol, not to be confused with MPC, which a lot of other projects have talked about today. Model Context Protocol was released by Anthropic in December, and it's a unified interface for AI tool calls. So prior to this, if you used AI, the vendors of LLMs usually had its own standard for function calls, tool calls, AI plugins, whatever you call it, that extends the capability of your AI application. Now with MCP, you have one unified interface, which means no matter who you are, what you're building for, your AI LLM can use it. Now, before I continue on to what we're doing here, I wanted to clarify a little bit about why I think AI tool calls are so important. And it's because LLMs by themselves, large language models, it's a really, really good invention, and it's incredible in what it can do. But the property of it is predictive. How it works is you have string, text in, text out. So it's really, really good at probabilistic tasks, right? So we're talking about high-level summaries or suggesting solutions for a math equation or writing code. But it can't actually execute on those, or it can't recall exact details. So that led to, a few years ago when ChatGPT came out, it led to what we call hallucinations. AI make up stuff a lot of times. So you need it grounded with context. Essentially, AI does not have CRUD built in, and tools bring CRUD. And recently, there are multi-billion applications now built on AI. Perplexity, Windsurf, Cursor. They were collectively made fun of as GPT wrappers. But now in 2025, people are starting to realize that LLMs are becoming commoditized. And where the true value is going is GPT wrappers. And that's why Windsurf and Cursor is so much better than GitHub Copilot. Why? Because they built better tooling. Now, things have changed a lot in the last 3 weeks. I took the screenshot 3 weeks ago because this concept of an MCP directory or MCP marketplace have been around since January. There's Smithery and a bunch of others, but for the longest time, they were mostly local. So to set up an MCP server, these are the instructions for how you would do it. You would have to download it, execute it, write some kind of JSON configuration. It's not too difficult, but I like to say that it's not great for the target audience of Zapier-like tinkerers. That's how I like to put it. What I think these guys like to do is an experience like what we just pushed out 3 weeks ago. And we call it Elite Agents, Shopify for AI agents. The way it works is anybody can publish MCP servers and MCP tools onto this platform, and you can play around with it. The screenshot or this video is showing that you can just click and choose abilities. These are all different MCP tools, and you can now imbue your AI agent with new capabilities. For example, it can grab the trending tokens for today. It can do a trade for you. It can mint an NFT for you, just with a click of a button. Now, with MCP is allowing something really, really cool in the AI tooling space, which is with this unified standard, everybody can make AI tools, they can upload it, and everything will be integrated really easily. So this speeds up development and accelerates adoption. The only problem here is, if you saw the tools that I showed earlier, if it's trading-based or it's some kind of info-based, it's usually behind some kind of paywall, or it takes a long time for you to develop this capability. So why would you want to share it with others? So this is a problem in this space that a lot of companies have been trying to solve. In this screenshot, you'll see on the right, that's Stripe. Just 3 weeks ago, announced their SDK wrapper for an MCP server. And what you can do is wrapping this, you allow people to pay for each call of the MCP tool. On the left, it's something called X402 standard. And this is something I'm really excited about. And this was only announced, I think, 10 days ago by Coinbase. What X402 is pretty interesting because 402 is actually an HTTP error code that was standardized in 1999. Same with 401, 400, request, invalid request, 403, forbidden, 404, request, resource not found. So what's 402? It's payment required. So as early as 1999, they imagined a future where there would be native internet payments. Sound kind of familiar? Now, 26 years later, we have Web3. And that dream is finally coming true. So I'll explain a little bit about how 402 works, but what we're really excited about is building on top of that framework. And I'm introducing something called the Machina-Habilis framework that we're building here at Elite Agents. It's an open source framework. It's Solana-centric, and it's how we do X402, but in a Solana identity-based payment. It's a little nerdy why we call it Machina-Habilis. We named it after Homo habilis. It's a nerdy anthropology reference. Homo habilis was the first humanoid species that used tools. They used these stone tools called Oldowan tools. So in this framework, it's called the Machina-Habilis client and the Oldowan server. Now, how it works is that each AI application, or you could call them AI agents, I use them interchangeably, they're identified by an ED 25519 key pair. That's the same key pair that we use to give you your public key on Solana. So every request to the MCP server, whenever the AI agent needs to use a tool, it includes a signed payload. This allows you to do payment gating via their on-chain state because you can prove that whoever's sending this request owns this public key. This is a little complicated. I'm not sure if you can read this fully, but I'll walk through it with you. This is very similar to how the X402 standard works, proposed by Coinbase. There are 4 major entities here at play. There's the MCP client that we call the Machina-Habilis client. We have the MCP server that we call the Oldowan server. And then you have something called a facilitator, an MCP tool, and lastly, the blockchain. So whenever you make a request, whenever the AI agent makes a request saying, hey, I need to use this tool, like I said earlier, it sends a signed payload. It does it in a header called X-payment. Now, X-payment is the standard that Coinbase came up with in X402, so we're going with that. The MCP server verifies this payload by looking at whether the payment required is actually satisfied. It can do so directly, so your MCP server could actually call an RPC and figure it out, or it can do it through a facilitator. And a facilitator can do things faster. Maybe it has better caching, et cetera. But ultimately, what happens is that a payload comes back, a response comes back, and it's a verification response. And it will say whether this payment was valid or invalid. If it's invalid, then the client will get a 402 response detailing exactly what kind of payment it takes. This allows the AI agent to then pay for it. This is a really important part of the standard because it allows for agentic discovery of tools and agentic micropayment of tools. So once that's actually paid and it's verified, then the MCP tool will be called and everything proceeds as normal. This is pretty interesting because what you can do with 402, given that it's so open, is that you can extend it further by doing programmable monetization. You can basically think of it as the payment can go to a PDA on a Solana program, and with it, you can do programmable things that you can promise. The easiest thing you can do is token gating, right? So like you can say, in order to use these MCP tools, you have to own a certain amount of these tokens. Or you can do subscriptions, because subscriptions is honestly probably the most common way of monetizing AI tools. But there's no way, it's very difficult to have token accrual with subscriptions. But if you have subscriptions going into a Solana program that then has a token buyback program, you've solved token accrual. So this is exciting because if you make something Web3 native, you then tap into the power of programmable money. All right, now I want to talk a little bit about how you can make this happen. So we created, this is fully open source. I'll share the repo later. It's one simple NPX tool call to do all the scaffolding for your MCP server. And then we have some nice little utility tools that you can just do CLI and add new abilities. And this is what one of them looks like. Let's see if you can see it. It's based on the official MCP SDK by Anthropic, but we've added a little thing here. You can see payment details, and type is token gated, chain is Solana, token address, it's a Jupyter token. So this MCP tool is a very simple tool that finds the token address using the Jupyter API. This is done in 20 lines of code, and you can monetize this tool and post it on our platform. So try it out. You can try it out today. Our platform is in beta. I've added. You guys can take a picture or scan the QR code, play with the beta, or download the Machina-Habilis repo and play with it. That one we're still actively developing. If you want to contribute or have comments, we'd love to hear what do you guys think about it. And lastly, our Twitter, our X is on here too. All right. Thank you.